I would like to call the health ordinance meeting to order.
Okay.
I would turn it over to Brittany.
Okay, I have made an extension policy for regular utility billing. You're not allowed to talk while I'm talking about this.
The correct field. Extension, so you guys know what we're talking about. I promise I won't take it. Extensions, for the most part, are people come to us 2 days before cutoff and say, I can't pay my bill. Can you help me out?
The same people every month.
It's a lot of the same things.
Yes.
But it is a pretty regular occurrence.
30 to 50 every month.
How much?
30 to 50 every month.
Yeah, a lot
Oh,
of people
yeah.
come in. So what we try to do is say, all right, you need till Friday. Maybe I get my check on the 3rd, or I get paid on Friday. So we try to at least get half of the payment, $300 or $200 or whatever. We try to get half and then give them a couple extra days. We try not to go 2 weeks or 3. We don't like doing too long, but we have helped people out in, I can't say extenuating circumstances, but when somebody comes to you and just says, y'all gonna cut me off tomorrow and I ain't got the money, when can you have the money? I can pay you on Friday. We give them extensions until Friday. I have been doing that. Brittany's been doing it, but I think Brittany would like to modify or create policy instead of doing everybody, that I think she wants to codify this.
I think the biggest issue is we give you until next Friday and then you don't show up and then we have to disconnect your service anyway, or either the customer has then moved. And since we're already in debt with utility bills, we don't want the customer to move and then we lose out on that money and not be able to collect on it for another year till they get their taxes.
They don't say anything, they don't call and say, I thought I'd be able to come today, they don't say anything.
Some do,
Uh-huh.
some don't. Some we just end up having to disconnect the next morning, and some of them come and reconnect, and some of them don't. By that time, they may have moved.
But I think it'll also be helpful for Brittany and the girls over there too, to have something in writing that they can show.
That they can enforce.
That they can.
Right, because when a customer calls and asks for an extension, and I tell them no because last time they didn't pay, there's no leg for me to stand on to say of why I can't give them an extension. It's just because you don't like me or
Or you can talk to Phil.
favoritism.
You know, I'm gonna, I think a codification.
So we're taking Phil out of this equation now.
Yeah. Yes.
But what I do want to do out of any of this is still have the flexibility. If somebody's got a serious problem, in the hospital or something like that,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be completely shut off. But yeah, do we need to be doing it every month for the same folks?
No.
Probably not the policy, so.
Right, and we usually have 2 high bills every year, usually the March 1st bill, and then 1 bill in the summer that are extremely high. So the policy states you can have 2 10-day extensions past the 45 days that we already give on your bill. But after those 2, within a 12-month period, you're no longer eligible for extensions for until the next 12-month period.
Yeah, that's fair to,
That makes sense.
if there's a problem or an emergency, we can help. But
Right.
it's not every month.
And then it's not playing favoritism. Some people get extra month, some people get it till next Friday. It's the same for everybody.
So the reconnect fee is only $12.50?
And we still charge anyone, even if they get an extension, if it's past cutoff day, they get charged a reconnect fee. Because it's not fair if somebody gets cut off. I mean, it'd be almost like you're doing better if you get an extension and don't pay the reconnect fee. So they still get charged that.
The reconnect fee was $25 up until 2013, 2014, or whatever, and the council cut it in half. It was $25.
And I think you find too, a lot of times, if they don't get the extension, they come up with the money.
Oftentimes.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying you to see
They
just how
had
much longer.
it, they had it when they
have.
asked you for the,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but they want that extension, and then if you say no, and it's a definitive no.
They're usually
they
there
don't
that
have
same
the
day
money.
paying it. Yeah.
That's true.
No, this extension policy be the same for both the regular payments and the new payment
No,
plan?
budget billing is completely excluded from this. You get no extra extensions on budget billing. That's strictly, if you don't pay your budget bill on time, you're kicked out of the budget program. This is just for regular
I see
utility
a whole
billing.
whole lot of people getting kicked out.
Well, we have bills to pay too. I said, we have bills to pay too.
Right, yeah.
You want to take a little while to take a look at the thing and see what you think and make sure everybody's on accord. It's all good, but.
Or if you wanna recommend it, you can.
I would like to recommend to accept this
Recommend
extension
something and then
policy.
come back and say, oh, we've got to modify it or change it again. Take some time and look at the thing. And
Oh, it's not much to look at. I move that we accept this extension policy for the
Yeah,
utilities.
you and
It
Brittany.
needs to be cut and dry, because you
Yeah.
keep doing this, you keep
Yeah.
doing that, you keep
Yeah.
doing this, it's,
Y'all
cut and dry, so it's-
responsible, what they think is okay,
Yeah.
it's fine with me.
That's all right.
So you made the motion, you second.
Second.
Okay.
I think the simpler the better.
Yeah,
And you're gonna
that's
have to
right.
be careful, like when you said, you know, if somebody done had, you know, something come up, cause you gotta be careful with doing
Cause
it
then
if,
you don't know if they're
either
telling
it's
the
gonna be
truth or not.
set in stone, or it's not gonna be set in stone, it's
I
my
agree.
theory of it.
Once the policy
Either 2
stipulates,
times,
the
and
policy.
after
Yeah.
that, I'm sorry, I just can't give you enough.
Right, because if they do have an
Yeah.
emergency, you do have 2 times within a 12-month
Exactly,
period to get
yeah,
it.
Pretty much.
exactly, so I think we just need to stick to the policy.
Right, you can't get 2 times and then have an emergency the next month. It's, you know, you gotta.
You'll be having 8 emergencies a year.
Right.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
it's kinda like with your vacation and sick leave, you take
Yeah.
advantage of your sick leave because, and then you get sick and then you don't have the sick leave.
Right.
You know, so.
But what about the people that come and say, I don't have any installation in my house? Go see the landlord, huh?
Yeah, or go see Yvonne and see if we can help with some of that, but we're focusing on owner occupied right now with the town's efforts. Yeah, we're not doing tenant, so yeah, they're landlord tenant.
So is this gonna be, is this something that we can, I mean, how much work would it be to put it in, make sure it's on? I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be displayed in the utilities.
Oh yeah, and if
Lobby.
anyone has, we can display it. If
And
anyone
then-
has any questions about it,
And we can add it to the new,
That's what I was
Yeah, I
getting
was
ready to
gonna say,
say,
being
add
that
it to
the-
the new bill.
Yeah, because
You
it's
know,
full
if I-
page now, so yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to add it. I think that's a good idea, so they can see it for themselves.
and, I think we will not, this, if everybody approves of this, we'll have it in the council meeting for March. And then it could possibly go up with the,
April 1.
yeah.
Is that effective April
If,
1?
if
Yeah.
council approves, I would say.
You said there were 30 to 50 up every month.
Oh yeah,
Now, how many of those are repeats more than 2 times?
at least half.
Really?
It maybe more than half.
So that's
Probably all of them actually.
Familiar faces on cutoff day come through the.
Well, if you're coming up every month, then you need to readjust how you're spending.
Right. No, that's why we're,
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Brittany, with the budget plan, we've already given 15 more days to pay.
Right, you
bills.
have a total of 45 days to pay your bill.
Yeah. You gotta- Before you cut off, you're late
Before
after
you're
30, but we don't cut off until you're 45 days late.
And they usually wait till cutoff day to
And
call.
most time, when I worked for the car business, most time, if you failed to pay your payment, they picked your car up, didn't have any problem with the payments after that.
Yeah.
I will be tougher on folks. If we have
Yeah, well, I mean, cause we have bills we have to pay too. So,
You gotta pay your minimum. And it's a budget this month.
You know, a lot of places don't give you 45 days. I mean,
Okay.
Well, some people, when you get old, people just forget to pay.
You can forget twice.
you can forget twice.
Well, are you voting
We'll
yes?
call you, Bob.
Are you voting yes?
Oh, yes, yes.
All right, so we'll say all ayes. Okay, wonderful.
Yay. Thank you. You're not protesting. This is, and the treasurer has this power, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The treasurer.
Now
Okay.
it's,
Madam
Yes.
Treasurer.
Okay.
that it?
And then Tessie's gonna report on property maintenance.
All right.
Yes, specifically,
Good night.
the town has what I like to see as, what I see in my head as 2 different property maintenance fees. We have the property maintenance, what I like to call probable cause inspections, like somebody calls the building inspector in the town and says, you know, this house looks awful, you know, can you come inspect it? And so the building inspector can come for that. And then we also have the rental inspection ordinance. Now, what that is it's a little bit different than, you know, the regular one, probable cause just applies to everybody. The rental inspection ordinance that the town does have on its books, but I don't know that the town ever adopted the most current version that I had worked on a while back with Jennifer Beck. And we have worked on it. And I don't know that the town has ever formally adopted it. But what that is what we were trying to do back, gosh, I guess it was probably 4 years ago now. But we are trying to bring the rental inspection ordinance that's on the books up to date with the current laws that are out there. What that entails is you can still do, you know, the probable cause inspection, like a tenant has something wrong with their house. They can still call the building inspector and say, you know, you need to come, there's roaches or rats or whatever, like that. You also, though, with the rental inspection ordinance, there's annual inspection that's done, and it's generally, you can do it for longer than 4 years, but the building inspector essentially would go and inspect every residential residential rental unit in the districts that were designated. And then he would do it, and if you had any citations, the landlord would be responsible for cleaning it up. And then as long as you had a clean certificate, then you will be good for 4 years. And then he will come back after that and inspect it again after 4 years and keep on going that way. So, and with those regular inspections, he would cite you for certain things, and then the landlords would clean it up. If it got to the point where they weren't doing what they were supposed to, then they could be, taken to court then. So, I'm not sure at this point though that we ever had the most current ordinance on the book. So we would really need to look into that and tackle that before we went any further with it. But there was also
And that's the property maintenance.
No, that's
The
the rental
rental.
part.
The rental.
And Yvonne is working on that, so
Yes.
I think we're understanding that, we're just concerned with the property maintenance.
okay.
Did you say every 4 years?
Usually, now the town, I was working on one that was similar with the rental property maintenance for the town of Crew. And they haven't adopted anything, and I don't know that they will or won't, they just had a public hearing on it. And one concern that was expressed was, every 4 years you're gonna inspect essentially every rental unit in the town. So you can do it for more than 4 years, you just can't do it for less. Like, you can't say the building inspector's gonna come and inspect your property every year or every 2 years. It has to be, you can have a clean bill, what I call it, for 4 years. You could also make it 5 years, you could make it 6 years, you just can't make it less than 4 years.
I was thinking it should be less than 4 years. That's why I asked the question.
Well,
That's the
how much
minimum.
time does the building inspector have? Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
rental properties in the county.
And that's the other thing too, that's one of the big concerns. So one of the big concerns that has been raised is, well, exactly what in the maintenance code do you enforce with the rental properties? Because the maintenance code is a lot, and it's not necessarily everything that's important to people, like, cracking paint, stuff like that. The second issue you have is, how are you gonna inspect every rental property? Now, to answer that, number one, it does not have to be every rental property in Blackstone if council does not want it to be. So you basically say designate districts and say that, this district is the residential real estate rental district and every house in that. But, what I've always recommended to towns that are thinking about doing it is that you break the town essentially into 2 districts and just because or else it's not really fair. How do you say, well, you're in this zone, so if you have a rental property in this zone, then it gets inspected, but if you have it over here, it doesn't. I just don't see how that would be, that would be something that would be up to you all to decide. But what you can't do, which is so nitpicky, is you can't have the town, all of the town cannot be one residential district. But you can have 2 residential districts that encompass the whole town. It's just one of those dumb things. So,
So for property maintenance,
yes, so for property maintenance, so the question was, how does the building inspector inspect all of those rental units? And the best answer I have is, you would have to break it down into, he does these streets 1 year, he does these streets 1 year, he does these streets 1 year, he does these streets 1 year. That's the only way I can see to do it. The other thing is that, the second option would be the town hiring a separate property maintenance official, if that's what you all want to do.
I think we will see how we go with the building inspector first.
Does that cost, does that cost us? What does that cost us?
In a perfect world, the way this happens is, building official comes out and does the rental inspections, $50 a pop. And the county's gonna charge us, not the property owner, it's our responsibility to collect it from the landlord.
But we can collect it from them.
But we can, the ordinance does permit us to get the $50 from the landlord, we just gotta collect it, make sure, we bill it and chase it down. So that should pay for the building official, because all we have to do is cover whatever invoices they send to us, okay? The property maintenance is something different, that's, is the yard a mess, do you need to paint your house, all those kinds of things. I have not talked to the county at all about their building official enforcing the property maintenance.
So the way we usually have done it though is typically speaking we've done the derelict buildings. And the code official has, cited the derelict buildings and said, this is a dangerous building, take it down. But what I usually do is I will use the property maintenance code plus the dangerous buildings, just so we have that, effort. Now, we can do property maintenance, and the thing about it is we don't, if you all want to do it, we don't have to adopt the whole entire thing. We can re-adopt it and just adopt certain sections of it. There's different sections for different aspects.
So we can send the county a derelict notice for the old school buildings over there?
Absolutely. Their roof is leaking terribly. I mean, it's a gaping hole. You just can't see it from the road. That's why it's not as pressing an issue. And sadly, I think the county has asserted that the town is supposed to fix that, but it's,
No.
that's not standard maintenance.
Well, Dean, the building inspector, sat in a meeting one night, and he said Nottaway County refuses to adopt the property
Maintenance code.
Yes, because,
They have not adopted
and
it.
it's like I made mention in one meeting that, just say that how, the paint was chipping off of my house. And I don't make a lot of money, I can't afford to paint my whole house. So you're telling, the town's gonna tell me I have to paint my whole house? I mean,
I don't agree with that.
Yes,
Now, that's big
a good
government.
too.
That's big government.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And you talk about, we already made people mad in the cemetery and everywhere else. Hey.
Eric Nash would be happy, but that's big government when you're gonna tell somebody they have to paint the house because it's
Yeah.
chipping a little bit.
but I feel like,
The town
the
does
rental
that.
property maintenance is gonna be a good code, because it's gonna get landlords getting houses up to code. But people, that own their own homes and, and it could be a first time, or, first homeowner, and they don't have a lot of money.
Well, if you're a homeowner and you don't have a lot of money in time to paint your house, that's different from a landlord owning some property and having somebody living in when it's
And
not
then-
in
money
place.
for
They can certainly afford to have the house
Not
fixed.
fixing up their houses for
Right.
people to rent.
Well, I need to ask a question. This is about pit bulls in rental homes, and if that dog bites somebody, will the homeowner be responsible for it also?
I think criminally speaking that they put things on the,
Lease.
owner.
On.
Now, it depends. Arguably, if you wanted to do it civilly and you were the one getting bitten, you could make the argument that that landlord was negligent in doing it. I think you would have a hard week, but you could try to make that argument. Criminally speaking, usually it's just, dangerous dogs, and so the owner will be penalized, whether it's
The owner of the dog.
the owner of the dog, whether it would be having to, jump through certain hoops, like posting your property, saying dangerous dogs live here, you might have to get on, I think like microchips, sometimes you have to move them to another state, so different things like that.
Believe it or not, we had a problem with hybrid wolves in Amelia. I don't know if you've ever heard about this, but people actually own wolves.
It's like a spring off the timber wolf.
I mean, they're big. I mean, they're 100 pounds
Huge.
big
And very strong.
dogs, and they're required. The ordinance in Amelia was requiring them to be inside of a pen and other things that they couldn't be loose.
Yeah, they're beautiful animals, but they
So what are
are.
your thoughts on property maintenance? I mean, do you agree with what I'm saying? I mean,
We do have it just full sale on the books right now.
You do think we could enforce it if we chose to?
personal opinion, and this is just a personal opinion. I know there are some in town that advocate to do this. Man, I think it's just a big Pandora's box, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be tough.
That's too much.
It's a
Yeah, I
lot.
mean, you got some
I mean,
people
having-
barely can pay their light bill, so you can come through them and tell them what they need to do with their own property.
Or you tell one person, and we haven't got to the other street
Yeah.
this year, and their yard looks like the devil, and theirs doesn't.
Well, it's one thing to say they gotta cut their grass.
We can do that now. We got separate
And
ordinances.
if they have a bunch of debris in their yard, we can send letters for that as well.
Yeah,
But
it's
telling somebody
different.
they've gotta paint their house or
That's
put
right.
shutters on their.
Yeah, no,
Next thing you
Now,
know,
like,
you'll be
what
sending me a
about the,
notice when to clean my gutters.
I know.
Devon's house that has collapsed.
That is, I do believe, we can invoke the same. I've been waiting on Devon's to do it, and I've seen contractors out there looking and trying to cipher. If you remember Mr. Mocker's house that is on the corner of Fifth and
Tree
Brunswick,
fell on it.
tree hit it. It wasn't a garden spot to start with, but a tree hit it. And Dean, you know, the town doesn't have an ordinance say you can't have a tree on your house. But Dean, believe it or not, he invoked a health and safety item out of the building code and said the tree's got to go and he's got to secure the front porch. Now, I don't know how far that's gotten with Mr. Mocker and Dean, but I think I can use the same, get Dean to do it. I don't think the town can, but I think Dean
Who took
can.
that tree down?
Huh?
Who took that tree down?
The town took it down.
And did we get reimbursed?
We
for it?
did. Yeah, Dan gave me it was only about $700. And Mr. Mocker was like, I don't know when I can get it. And I said, get it cut. We sent him a bill, I think, for $650. He paid it in no time, which is a deal. I mean, a private tree service would have been a lot more.
I got some trees you can come cut down. I'll pay you some.
I think it was $650 is what the price was. But he did pay it. I mean, within a few days.
I say you need to call that guy to cut that pine tree down across the house. I heard he just got out, strapped on the thing on his leg, just climbed up, started cutting.
There was a big
I'm
pine
sorry,
tree
I'm
that
sorry, I
was
missed that.
leaning. It was on Lafayette's property that wind had kind of got it messed up. And we've got a guy that we work with named Scooter. He's from South Hill.
Scooted on up the
And
street.
he's wild as a buck. He doesn't use a bucket truck. And this tree, huh?
Scooter Coder.
No,
No,
it's a
that's a
different guy.
different one.
He doesn't use a bucket truck. 99% of them use a bucket truck and they make a mess and they, you know. This guy, and he was 100 feet in the air
Wow.
And
with a
just,
power saw hanging off his back and hanging on that tree.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Wow.
Oh, he tough. I use him specifically in the cemetery because he doesn't make a mess.
No, I'm just saying, so what do you suggest?
If I were, and I don't get a vote, but if I did get a vote, I would vote for it. Just because it's heavy-handed, and I know it's gonna create a big, my part. I think it's gonna be.
No. I would just say I would be careful of a blanket, not enforcing at all, because there are certain things that we can use it for, like really, really bad stuff. And so maybe not a blanket no, but just doing what we're doing now.
kinda like the building up on Church Street where the roof is falling in. Used to be a, what's it, used to be a funeral home, didn't it?
We
Oh,
already turned them
Scott.
into, it was on
Scott.
two.
Yeah.
It's Scott's.
I think Dean has communicated them. You know that old greenhouse that's on Church Street? You can see some work going on there. That's as a result of Dean and Jennifer fussing at him.
Yeah, so sometimes we still need it, so maybe not like a blanket no, but just,
So like,
doing what we're doing.
is this when you would use the status quo? Is that how you use it?
Yes.
Our leaders have it.
But I think if people, they're receiving money to, for the rental property, they should invest some of that money back into the property. It's not even fair to the people who's renting the house for them not to put money back into the
Well,
house.
that's why I agree with the rental property,
Yeah.
because people are charging, what, $800-900 a month
Yeah.
rent, and they don't even have insulation
That's right.
or dirt floors, or, they don't,
And for that much rent, there's no excuse why you don't have running water or proper installation.
We just built a house for the fields and they didn't
Dirt
have
floors
any of the
alone.
above working completely.
Dirt floor.
That what she just said,
Oh.
dirt floors.
that
I'm
was
like,
how it was in.
Oh, yeah, over on, yeah, it was.
who was that, Mr. Field?
Yeah, Mr. Beard.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, it's better now. They've got a great situation and if you ever get a chance to go by there, it's a nice looking little house. And very clean, very tidy. We got a little money out front, so I think they put some mats and stuff to walk across. But it's a nice little house.
It
I
is.
mean, it's a
Very nice.
great little place. And it's a success story. We need to do that.
And they were very appreciative. I
Grateful.
rode over there and they were
Grateful
very
people.
appreciative.
I haven't spoken to Mr. Fields, but the daughter was thanking him. I went over there one day when they were still moving stuff in. Mr. Fields wasn't there, but the daughter was, and somebody else was with her, and she was like, and it was nice, it smelled good, it was clean, and carpet fresh, and paint good. And it was good. That's what we need most of. We need good families that own property, that wanna be here and raise kids. We are, in the process of cleaning up a couple of demolished houses in your neighborhood, so you know. We burned that house down on Dalton Street. This is part of building code. I'm not stretching too far. Geraldine McFarland, very
Yes.
courteous. She came in and said, please do something. And so she signed an indemnity agreement saying she would pay for the cleanup. That's what we do. Okay. And the fire department burned it down. Now, our guy Wallace, who's usually our house chunker up, is very sick, and he's been on sick leave. He's been out ill for, gosh, a couple months now. And I don't know when he's coming back, so I'm gonna have to hire a contractor. I don't wanna leave it like that for perpetuity. So I'll probably hire a contractor. The second house, so you know, was owned by Gilbert Ruffin, and Gilbert Ruffin contacted me. Gilbert Ruffin had come through and done some zoning, that's why I pointed Barbara. He'd gotten some zoning, he was intending on building some apartments at one time.
Apartment's supposed to be over there now.
And the house had gotten vandalized, people had gotten in, broken the windows, door was kicked open, and all that kind of stuff, and just open to the elements. We contacted him and said, you gotta secure it. Not condemned, but we're telling you, you can't have these windows open and people crawling in and out and doors open. So he said, well, I'd like to get it burned down by the fire department. I said, well, let's see if we can find a win-win here. Well, the fire department agreed to burn it. And then I think Cody got thinking it might be a little close to the brick
I
house
think
next
they
door.
talk about bringing it down, then burning it once it gets in a pile.
We did that, so Cody said, can you take it down? I said, yeah, we can take it down, and we tore Gilbert Ruffin's house down, the town did that with a track hoe, didn't take much time, and it's in a pile now. I think Cody still is a little not crazy about burning it, so I think the town's still gonna have to get that up and haul it off. But we had the asbestos taken out, so we can take it another way, it doesn't have to.
Well, radiant heat, you can't guarantee it's not gonna affect a neighbor's
There's
property.
another house next door, there's a brick house right next door, two-story brick
It's
house that's
amazing,
occupied.
it's amazing that house beside Armbridge didn't burn down
Built up.
that night. It got hot enough it melted the lenses off the fire truck that night.
Wow.
I think Cody's not gonna be, and Cody Lewis is the training officer with the fire department, so you know, he's also a county deputy, and, I think he's gonna, I know he doesn't wanna burn it. And it's got the burn period, there's a certain time of the year when you can't burn, and I think we're either in it or approaching it,
Yeah.
and, so the town, I'll get a contractor to clean up both of those properties.
Which is
So
another reason why we
McFarland-
need to,
You burned that house down. McFarland?
Yeah, it's gone.
it's gone.
All it is a metal roof laying on cinder blocks.
Well, the fella, does he still plan to build some apartments, or did he say?
I don't know, he hasn't said, but the house was not doing anybody any good, it wasn't occupied, and it was just becoming a bit of a nuisance.
His mama probably turned over in her grave, burned down her house,
Maybe.
tearing her house down.
We've got to
Miss
continue,
Anderson, do you know Miss
and I'll let you
Anderson?
guys go home, we've got to continue to find ways, because just on Center Street, I gave a presentation to Crenshaw Methodist men there 2 nights ago, talking about housing and things that the church could do to help us do painting and building handicap ramps and all that. And I was using an example, Center Street. Since I've been here, we have torn down 5 houses on that one block. And nothing's gone back. Mr. Tucker's house, it burned and then we ended up removing it, nothing's gone back. There was a little house right across from Gilbert Ruffin's that we torn down, it had a screened-in porch on the front. Gilbert's house, and then the Taylors, 3/4 of the way down the block, on the left-hand side, you see some kind of open lot, there were 2 houses right there, we tore both of those down.
Norma Taylor,
Norman Taylor.
he's
exactly.
getting ready to list that property with me.
We tore down 2. We've gotta continue to find ways to make every neighborhood healthy. 2 reasons, and I told the church this, one, I think it's the right thing to do, and you know, kind of a mission, I mean, it's a good thing to do, and it's, you know, Christian thing to do, and we have the ability, but the other thing is, we depend on water, sewer, and electric customers. And if they're all gone, we got financial concerns. We've got to get customers and keep customers in the town, and find ways to encourage that in every neighborhood. It's easy down on College Road, that ain't no problem, find customers over there. But on North Center Street, we got 5 fewer customers than we did just on one block on Center Street in the 8 years I've been. So we gotta find ways of home ownership, and that's where Yvonne comes in. She's been going to training sessions and all sorts of things, and our plan is hopefully one day she'll be fully certified as a housing counselor, and she'll be able to, somebody walk in the door and say, I would like to build a home or buy a home, or I'm renting, is there something else I can be doing? Yes, let me look at you and see if I can qualify you and see what we can do to get you in an owner-occupied home.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so, we may come to you someday, when, next time they do a tax sale, and there may be a lot somewhere. Maybe the Southside Outreach maybe buy the lot. Okay, at a tax sale, and then maybe a home can be built on that. And, there's all kinds of programs at the state, homeowners, down payment assistance. There's programs at the state, for a first-time home buyer, they can pay all your closing costs. So you don't have to come to the table with 200%. Okay? Those kinds of things can happen, and they're available, and we think Blackstone should be able to tap in. Larry did a crazy good job. I worked for him for years. Larry did a lot of this stuff. I just think we're building on what Larry and Richard Lee started years ago, and just maybe expand it and see some other ways to do it.
They were really committed to doing that.
Oh, they were great. I learned a lot from both of them. Yeah, they were awesome. Okay.
Okay, so back to the property maintenance. Do y'all want to, like Tessie said, not do it completely, but stay status quo? Is that how you use that term?
Yeah, that's
Say
just the
what we're doing.
regular property maintenance that we have, not the rental property, that's something separate. But just the regular property maintenance, I would say just keep on doing what
Do you
we
want to
do.
take that list and pick and provide you with a list of things that we can select?
We can do that
And
too.
give you guys that list and say, all right, abandoned buildings or whatever, and then you guys can say, yes, we want to do it all, we want to do portions, we want to exempt this one, or whatever. When we do that, we'll get you that list,
Yeah, I think
and
that
then
would be
next
good.
time we'll sit down back and take a peek at it. But I was surprised when Tessie told me we've already adopted all we need to adopt, and we're ready to
Just
go.
as long as we understand all in agreement that when it comes to a homeowner, that's a different,
Yeah,
you know,
we're
because-
just talking about the homeowners, and then with the rental inspection,
We'll do the rentals and the rental inspection, but this would apply to the homeowners. If you were to adopt that,
You're just saying it's a case-by-case basis, like the Devon's house, got everything crashing down there. At some point, I would think the town is gonna go, hey,
I think I can
we
get
need to do something here.
Dean to invoke a portion of the building code, already, as he did on Brunswick Avenue with the tree.
And if you have a junkyard, we can,
Right.
you know, if you have a bunch of junk in your yard or debris or
I
something.
think we've already got
We,
that.
we can use that from that.
Well, it doesn't work on some people.
It doesn't work on some people. It goes right back. You clean it up, it goes right back. And, needless to say, we have a property in town where there's a accumulation of stuff in the yard, and it has been for 25 years.
Did the truck ever get filled up?
Huh?
Did the truck ever get filled up this last time?
No, wait,
Did you go pick the truck up?
it was very little in there. The neighbor called me and said, they didn't put anything in the truck, and I think it was rainy last week and they didn't do a whole lot.
Dude, we're talking about a
I held Tessie
sick
off
person though.
While that was trying to happen, it's a mess, it needs to be worked on. We've cleaned it up since I've been here one time. The Baptist church graciously went
They
over
did,
there.
they were wonderful.
It was nice of them, my kids, Louis Johnson, Barbara was over there. It was a lot of stuff. And we cleaned it up one time, it's as bad as it was again. It's just an accumulation of stuff. But sadly, it's all outside in bags and wet.
They were gonna sue me and Philip. They said, I'm gonna sue you.
Yeah, she wasn't very happy with it. We were.
And she looked at me and she said, you too. We're just trying to help you.
I think we're gonna have to have Tessie go back to court. Tessie took that family to court recently, or the owners of the property to court, I don't know, within the past 6 months, and she was fined $50, is that correct? But the judge didn't order it to be cleaned up by them, because he didn't feel like it was gonna get cleaned up. He can make the order, but it wouldn't be cleaned up, believe it or not, he didn't order it
So
cleaned.
why wouldn't he have fined her more than $50?
'Cause that's how-
Well, I guess he knew she didn't,
We were trying
wasn't
to get a
wasn't
court
gonna
order
pay
saying
it.
to clean it up, and he didn't order them to clean it up, he just fined them $50, whether they paid it or
Yeah.
not, I don't know.
And I think his kind of rationale behind it was, you know, the town could clean it up if they wanted to under the ordinance.
Or if he lived there, he would make, it would be different.
Yeah, we are trying to get an ordinance, you know, in order, because the ordinance does allow it to put it on them. And then we had actually gotten that order before, you know, that said it and said to keep it clean, and then we tried to get it again.
We got it the first time, and the Baptist church cleaned it, and they got off the hook. And the second time, the judge didn't do it, so we're gonna have to go back, and I do believe to enter private property, we need that judge's order to let the town take a track on.
The person, they have a sickness though. They're hoarders.
A lot of stuff.
And people don't realize that's a mental disease.
And for the first time, the neighbors are starting to call me. It used to be kind of, well, you know, our neighbor, we've known her, and I haven't had a huge number of complaints, but I've had recently a few.
And people have already started calling now, and it's still winter with smell.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this?
On my street.
I'll carry that.
I haven't seen her
I've got a
lately.
whole collection of pictures.
She okay? I haven't seen her lately.
You've never seen it like
I said I
that?
haven't seen her lately.
She's not well.
Okay.
But she still be
I think-
picking up stuff off the side of the road?
Believe it or not, the daughter Renata is the owner of the house.
Oh, gotcha.
She's actually transferred.
She's just like her.
That's the
Yeah.
life of
The whole family hoarders.
They like stuff.
Hoarder raised hoarders.
Or dogs too. All right, thank you very much. So we're gonna get a list of the things that can be enforced, and
Yes.
then like a menu, you can à la carte things that you wanna do or not do.
Now, I will tell you that in the most updated version that I've been working on, I guess sometime back now, with the rental property maintenance, we did already have a list of things picked out specific to rental properties, so
Okay.
that may be a good starting place to look at.
And those are kind of safety and welfare kind of things, not the painting
Yeah,
and
not
all that, just, you know, is there mold? Is there, you know, health issues on the property?
Lead-based paint on the walls.
I don't know if we're gonna be testing for lead-based paint. I don't know if that's part of it. You know, I don't think that's actually, we're actually taking paint chips and doing stuff like that.
Are we gonna have a checklist
Yep.
that they'll
That's
have
what you're
to
talking about.
show that they visually checked for insulation,
You
et
know,
cetera?
we don't wanna get into
So that we don't
drawer
find that there isn't any insulation
you
later?
know, or screens on windows. That's part of the building code, and those are the little things. Man, if we start worrying about screens on windows, then yeah. So we're trying to have that list, that punch list of health and
Health.
safety and welfare related, mold, water, leaks, all those kind of things there. No problem. All right. Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned
Good job.
at
What time is it?
6:46.
Oh, I go see the wheel.
So that is amazing.
Alex is back, and now he has
Yeah,
taken his
huh?
test.
Third, fourth,
Oh, I love Alex.
I think that's the best